This is what happens when you don't get paid.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. And we're live with another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, joined by the technician Chris Aceto on this beautiful Sunday evening. And Chris, you're on a rampage. You've been stiffed.
Yeah, I was stiffed. I'm not going to go bankrupt, but that's not the point.
Before I let you tell the story, I want to say, number one, I always considered you a way better businessman than me because you collect money up front usually. And number two, I will say this about Chris. He's a lot less forgiving than I am. Like, I usually kind of like make excuses for people and I forgive them. Chris calls everyone out. So
it's the Capricorn in me, Dave. It's
the Capricorn. Oh, you're a Capricorn. That's right. You are.
We're rigid. We are principled. And
I'm an Aquarian. I float around. I float in the clouds.
Take a Capricorn, mix in a Muslim, and you have you're unbendable.
You're right.
Bendable.
Yeah. All right. Tell us the story. What happened? Because I saw you posted.
Show the post.
I'm going to put the post up here that you put up on Instagram. Here, hold on a second. So that's Muhammad Amin.
Yeah.
And he's a classic physique guy. I noticed, by the way, that his 615,000 followers now that he had on Instagram, he now has a private account. So you have to like request to be a friend of his. So you must have shut down that Instagram pretty quickly from what you did.
Yeah, well, you know me, Dave. I'm probably not even done. It'd be like 11 years. Keep in mind, my grandmother was once at a bank. This is a true story. And she was in her late 80s. And she got in a fight with another little lady, Italian lady in her late 80s. They got in a big shouting match. My father break it up. And my grandmother told my father, when I was 17, that's how the sentence began. Mm-hmm. The lady did her wrong when she was 17, 27, 37.
Oh, my God.
77. It was 65 years later.
No wonder why your father was always getting into fights growing up. He had his mother the person who was showing him how to run through the ropes.
Later, she did not forget. So I do not forget things.
Yeah. All right. So what happened? Muhammad here on the right, next to Breon Ansley, who won the show in Dubai.
Yeah, deservedly so.
Deservedly so. And Muhammad looks pretty good here. So what went wrong here?
What went wrong is I didn't get paid.
Right. Now, why didn't you get paid up front? Because I know that's a standard Chris Aceto requirement.
It is. And I'll say this. People who know me know I'm not greedy. I never ask people, oh, you want some money, you prize money. Can I get 1%, 2%, 5%, 10%? Never. And I do that because I charge everyone the same so that nobody can say, you favor Dave Palumbo over me. And we were in the same show, because sometimes people end up in the same shows.
Yeah.
And, I know a lot about myself. My litmus test for that is the 2018 Olympia when Sean Roden, after prejudging, wanted to come see me, and I asked, he came to my door. I've told the story before, knocking at the door, but I was in the room with this kid from Mexico who won the overall amateur Olympia, and two kids from Saudi. And the Mexican just left, so it was the two kids from Saudi, and they were young, and they won the class, like the lightweight and maybe like the middleweight class. And we were like just having a moment to celebrate, and someone was pounding at the door. And I said to one of the kids, he's like 23, see who it is. And they said, it's Sean Roden. I said, well, just tell him to come back. And it didn't. The point being is that I give a lot to people who I help, and I overgive. So, in exchange for that, you pay money, just like any prep type coach. And sometimes, someone will say, and it's rare, but they'll say, "Can I do it this way with payment?" Like payments, and I'll say, "You know what? I don't care." And then I'll write a note to myself or notes, to remind me that Dave Palumbo, only paid me $100, and he's got to pay me on this date, this date, this date, and this date. And Muhammad never paid me anything, and I realized that, and I reminded him way out. I said, because this was a very long 10-month prep, because he looked terrible. He was, a lot of bodybuilders
which seems like he was getting a good deal because you were giving him a much longer prep than most people would have, right?
10 months is a lot.
For the same price, which was zero actually.
And it was about 5 weeks out. Now I rent apartments to people, Dave, without applications, because I know how to read people. I mean, you can't walk through the door and say I don't have a job, but
right.
If someone says, like the other day, I'm a pharmacist, well, that puts them on the top of the list, and they come to see it, and they're well organized. You can get a feel for people, and I say, listen, I don't need the application. You can fill it out. I'll give you the apartment. Just give me a deposit now, and I'll hold it for you. Right. So I get a very good feel. And as you know, I fashion myself really good at weeding out BS artists. Mm-hmm. So my BS light went off like 6 weeks out. And at about 3 weeks out, I said, listen, I need this money. And he said, I'm going to Dubai, and story. It's easier for me to wire it right after the show. Well, right then and there.
Should have known.
I knew I was not going to get paid. However, I decided to, the mean side of me said, you know what, if I don't get paid, that's my problem, because I should have either one at about 8 weeks out said, you know what, I think you can finish the prep on your own. And I thought about it 3 weeks out to be extra mean, to say, you know what, 20 days out, I think you can handle it from here. You're on your, or someone can bring you in from, 21 days out till now, because I knew my gut was I was not going to get paid.
Right.
Honestly, I wanted to confirm my gut. I wanted to confirm to see how accurate that was. And so, sure enough, after the show, I hear from this guy every day, almost every other day, pictures for 10 months. Every other day, 3 times a week.
Right.
Then,
probably annoyingly so sometimes, I'm sure.
Dave, we can post them up here. I can post pictures from 56 days out every single day. Right. Because he didn't look good.
Right.
I knew, this is what I would need to do to be able to really get him to continue to actually grow and get leaner all the way to the show. So I wanted to confirm, part of me was, I wanted to confirm that. And if I was wrong and the money came after the show, well, then I was wrong. And then I'd give him and other people maybe the benefit of the doubt. But of course it didn't come. And I tried to contact him, and like crickets. And I contacted him again, crickets. And so I said, well, maybe, let me give him some extra time. I call that the no money shot, Dave. You know what they say? That's the money shot. That is the no money shot.
Why? Because you didn't get paid for that shot. Yeah.
Why? Yeah. So I went to his Instagram and I posted, like, he had posted some picture of him training with this pro from Qatar who I used to prep. And he had his best finishes ever in pro shows. I forget his name. Jalali. Abdulaziz.
His account is private now. I can't get in there.
Yeah. Good. They should can it. And so I posted on his Instagram, like, geez, I wonder when I'm going to get my $3,000. And of course, that was deleted. And I, posted it up again. And I said, you know what? Next time I posted on his, like, a comment, next time it's going to be on my Instagram. You can't delete that.
Right.
And I waited a couple days, waiting for the excuse or the nonsense, and I didn't get it. And I said, okay, it's time to, let people know who they're dealing with, because clearly I won't prep them. And I prepped them for pro cards, Dave, and pro wins and Olympia qualifications. So it's not like, I'm some guy out in left field who,
you've been working with him. You've been working, and he's paid you before, right?
Well, that's another story. I think from the Olympia qualification, when he was at the Olympia, he owed me money.
Oh, really? So you really were a sucker then for this guy.
So lo and behold, I post that, and one of the first posts is I think a 53-year-old Kamal El Gardni has some type of credibility in the sport.
Yeah, I would say so.
He posted the same thing happened to me. So he used to prep him years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get paid.
Wow.
So I put a lien on his anabolics. And a lien on his chicken from his grocery store.
Yeah, there's Kamal's statement right there. They failed to pay me as well before.
And the reason I posted the picture with Breon, I tried to make a joke at the beginning. Which of these champs experienced mild dementia and forgot to pay me? Some people are like, well, you shouldn't post a picture of Breon. Granted, Breon looked fabulous at that show, was in my eyes the hands down slam dunk winner, and he's not flexing there, and Muhammad is flexing, but still it shows you he didn't show up like looking like he stepped out of a garbage pail.
Oh, you look good. You look very good.
So Dusty Hanshaw had the nice comment on the thread. He said that that's like a Google review of a bodybuilder. When you can that post where on Google you make a review of like Species Nutrition.
Yeah, it's always a bad idea, Chris, to screw over someone who has a weekly TV show with a lot of viewers, because it's just going to represent you in a bad way. It was like what happened with the with the whole, I'm not going to go into it, but the whole Mark Loveliner BS that went on this past week. And
let me say this. And that was I meant to put that up to shame him.
Yeah. When
people have no shame, you can't shame. Mm-hmm. But regardless,
right.
I wanted to put it up, and I'll keep it up.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like 4 or 5 people who owe me a little money.
Yeah.
Who I've dealt with in the past, and they're like, they email me, Chris, I'm going to pay you right away. I said that wasn't up there.
They got nervous that you were going to out them. That's funny.
That was up there for me,
right.
And that was up there for him, not for you guys. So it's funny that the response was like 3 or 4 other people said, "Oh, don't worry, I owe you $500 or something. I'm going to get it."
Well, that's good. Maybe that was the motivation people needed to get you paid up. So
the whole point is in getting paid too. Is I've done diets for people for free who are broke out of their minds in different countries. And I've given people discounts because I found out, oh my God, I didn't know you work. Like, I find out not through them, through some like you, Dave Palumbo, like, Chris, do you know he works 2 jobs and his mother's, sick and he takes care of her? And I'm like,
right.
I didn't know that. So I tell people, or not people, I've told people, we're good on payment. The payment is just part of the agreement.
Right.
So that nobody can work for free. I just told someone the other day, he probably listening to the show. I told him I'd do a diet for him for free. It's someone, it was a favor for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really respect this person. It was, I won't say his name. I was going to say his name, but he might embarrass him. So someone I really admire and like said, "Can you coach this bodybuilder for a show?" And I said, "Yes." And I said, "For you, I'll do." He said, "How much?" And I said, "You've done so many things for me that I can't repay you for. I'll do it for free." And then, unfortunately, I changed my mind with the bodybuilder. I said, "I'll do it really, really cheap," and I throw out I throw out a stupid tiny number. And the whole reason I told him, I said, I don't want to resent you.
Right.
And so I need to get at least something, which is ridiculous.
No, you know what though, Chris? The right answer is really, if you don't charge anything, people don't consider there to be value to what you're doing, and then they don't stick to it. You could give them a $10,000 coaching plan. If you don't charge them the $10,000, they think it's crap. But if they have to pay it out of their money, out of their hard-earned money, they value it more, and I think they stick to it better. So you always have to charge someone something, and it's not about the money, like you said. It's more about the idea of the fact that I spent my own money on this, therefore it has value. I'm going to stick to it.
Mm-hmm. So that's that.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So look, sometimes you have to out people and do the right thing, and sometimes you want to try to turn the other cheek. But when people get a little out of hand, like I had to deal with Mark Loveliner this past week, and I had to put him in his place because he was saying some stuff that was not true about me, and I felt that he was way off. Normally I wouldn't even respond, but I did, and that's it. We're done with it. I'm done with it. But if you allow this guy to get away with this, it sets a precedent, and he'll tell the next guy, "Oh, you don't need to pay Aceto if you don't like you didn't like the results, or you didn't." Or you don't really have the money. Just tell Chris, yeah, I'll pay, and then don't give him anything. He's a sucker. You can't put that out there. You have to let people know that, hey, you're not going to get away with this, and that I'm going to out you to the community. And now, if I'm a coach and this guy approaches me and says, I want you to coach me, it's going to be payment up front, or he's going to get.
I would simplify it more than that, Dave, because I would just say this, that his pay, I'm as comfortable posting the shameful post, and that's as satisfactory for me as getting the pay.
Well, because a lot of people.
If you want to know Chris Aceto, that is, if I didn't have the opportunity to attempt to shame him, then I wouldn't feel I'd be pissed.
Right. Well, almost 4,000 people liked the post, so obviously that's a lot of people saw that thing. Or more people saw it, but that many people liked it, so they agreed with you. Obviously.
Yeah, one of his friends tagged him like how dare Chris? And I said, well, it's too late. Jay Cutler already liked the post, so it's like the Pope already liked it, gave his blessing.
Right.
I mean, if Jay likes it, you kind of
well, Jay would probably have sued him and taken him to court and probably won too. Jay would have gone to where's he from? What country does he live in?
It's Tunisia.
Jay would have had a lawyer in Tunisia that he knew from some appearance he did there 20 years ago. And it'll be Chris, I don't even need to go. I don't need to show up. He sued him. I got triple damages. I got paid triple damages on it.
Jay would know when someone in customs wouldn't let him back from Dubai, wouldn't let him back in the country.
Unbelievable. Well, we lost a very a good one, Chris. Unfortunately, Eugene Mishin, I was good friends with him. He passed over the weekend. No one, I don't know if they're doing an autopsy or not. It seems as though it's probably either a heart attack or some kind of an embolism. He was 48 years old. His father passed of an embolism at 50. And, I tell people all the time, I said, when I approach life, I try to do everything as perfectly as possible. Eating, working out, keep my body fat levels low, testing my bloods, doing all the diagnostic crazy tests that I do on a regular basis. But at the end of the day, you can only do so much. And you know what? A lot of times you can succumb to your genetics and you can't escape them, unfortunately. It's like we're like a computer program that is playing itself out. Now, sometimes we can short circuit the computer program if we can, catch something before the program goes off the rails. Like I caught my aorta before it ruptured, whereas Boston Lloyd did not, and he wound up dying because of it. I caught my thyroid cancer before it grew, and got out of control, and I got it taken out. But Mel Chansey, caught a blockage he had in his coronary arteries. He got a stent in there, and he avoided, a problem, and so on and so on. There's a lot of people out there with have done the same thing because they're as diligent as as I am. But at the end of the day, you know what? Sometimes you can be as diligent as you want, and it's just your time's up. And it's hard to come to grips with that because, you spend so much time, and I know you can relate to because you went through that with Sean Roden. And you spend so much time with someone. I used to go out to eat with Eugene every single weekend, and, I would see him in the gym every day. And I know Steve Weinberg is probably pretty upset because Eugene trained 1 million people in the gym every day, all day long. And, you lose someone like that who's a good guy, and he's loyal, and he's really still in the prime of his life at 48. And, it starts making you think about, maybe I shouldn't take life for granted. Maybe I should, not say, hey, I'll do it in the future. You start saying, maybe I should do more things right now because tomorrow is not promised to anyone. And I think it's a wake up call, a reality check, so to speak, when something like that happens.
Yeah, it's death waits for nobody.
No, it's true.
I don't mean in any way, Dave, to make light of.
No, I know.
What I'm doing is agreeing with the point that you're making, and one of the things that I do every single day is like I'm in my cave office here, which is just a horrible mess 375 days out of the year. And when I go upstairs, which I don't do enough, my kids are up there. Mm-hmm. And every single time I take a step up those stairs, I say, this could be the last time I walk up these stairs to see them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meaning, not in a morbid way, but in fact, when I tell my kids, my 10-year-old, I probably frighten him. When I say, give me a hug when I'm going out the door.
Yeah.
And I said, I could have a car crash or a heart attack. When he says, no, I'm doing something. I said, well, I could be in a car crash or have a heart attack. And
you're pulling the old Italian guilt?
I've been saying that since he was like 4.
The Italian guilt trip.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, the Italian guilt trip.
I tell you, we have bad genes, Dave. My grandmother used to say that too. We have bad genes.
Eugene would come into the studio. When I first started RX Muscle, we built a studio in Westbury, New York, in my warehouse, and actually John Romano built it. And we would do these TV shows every week, and no one was doing TV shows then because it was very difficult. There was no YouTube. You couldn't stream live. We had it I had so many different. We had to buy so many different things to be able to do this TV show. And Eugene would come in and he would dress up in different he liked to put military uniforms on. He had all these like Russian military outfits, and he was into that movie Sniper for a while. He was wearing sniper outfits, and then he was doing all those commercials, so he would wear those outfits, and he would tell us these stories, and I talked about it in the tribute video I did to him. If you guys want to check it out, it was a difficult video for me to get through because I was very emotionally choked up, but he would tell us, we would tell you how kids, like when we were kids, we would go play in the woods and we'd climb trees and, do all kinds of crazy stuff. They would, in Russia, Chris, they would go into the woods and they would look for old landmines and unexploded, what are they called? Grenades from World War II. Because when the Nazis were in there and the Russians were fighting the Germans, when the war was over, they just left everything,
Yeah.
you know, and no one cleaned up anything. There were tanks buried in the ground. There were like landmines. And as kids, they would go and they would, would dig this shit up and they would bring it back like as if we would play with like a toy gun. They had like real shit. They would. I said, weren't you afraid the stuff was going to blow up? He goes, that was excitement. We don't know if it blow up or not. But that great Russian, you know.
He was a great bodybuilder too.
Whatever.
He was a very good bodybuilder.
He was. He made it to the Olympia twice. He took third at the Orlando Pro Show in a 10 and 11. And he was one of these guys that maximized everything he had because, Chris, I'm telling you, if I told this kid to eat no carbs for 30 days in a row and to drink 2 sips of water a day, that's what he would do. He never seen. I thought that I was militant. He was way more militant than I was. You know, he was unbelievable. You know, he loved to suffer. He would do 4 hours of cardio a day if you asked him to. You know that he wouldn't even hesitate to. You know, and he would pay you. He would never sniff you out of any money. That's for sure.
Yeah. Was he? Did he have kids? Was he married?
No, he didn't have kids. But you know what? He when he was with Lena,
Lena, yes,
he had 4 kids from 2 different marriages. So he helped raise those kids because he was there the whole time when they were young. And so
heard that name. That's right, because she used to be at the TV shows too.
Yeah. The 2 of them would come, and I was very good friends. I used to do Lena's diet, and I did Eugene's diet for a little while too. And you know, it was he was just a very loyal guy, and you know, I had kind of lost. I hadn't really talked to him in the last couple of years since I moved down to Florida, but you know, I know he was. I was talking to Lena yesterday all day because you know she's the one. He was with her when he passed, which is obviously very traumatizing. And she was telling me that they had gone out to. He wanted to get a. This is a funny story. He wanted to get a Humvee, but not like the old Hummers that they were selling. GM was selling. He wanted like one of the Arnold ones that you know from the war Humvees. Oh. And there was a dealership in like Utah someplace. And so the 2 of them flew out to Utah so Eugene can search for this Humvee that he wanted. And he found one and he actually, I'm sure Blackman would be very jealous because remember Blackman had one of those Humvees too. And because Arnold had one, you remember Blackman had to get one?
Yep.
Blackman's was in terrible shape. So Eugene gets this Humvee and he and he brings it back and he was restoring it. And he was, from what Lena told me, he was spending a lot of money on this. Let me see if I can pull a picture of it. He was spending a ton of money on this, on restoring this Humvee because he wanted to drive around this military vehicle. And she's like, he would wear his military fatigues when he would drive around in this thing. And because he wanted to pretend he was in the, at war or something like that. Pretty nice. It's pretty nice looking. I'm surprised more people don't drive around in those things. They probably have like the worst gas mileage of all time. They're like turbo diesels, those things. Blackman used to drive his, Chris, and the thing sounded like an airplane he was driving. I'm like, Steve, I can't even hear you when you're talking to me. I said, because this thing is so freaking loud. He goes, I think I have a hole in the muffler. I said, I don't think it has a muffler, Steve. I said,
when Arnold had his, the government gave it to him because I think he donated like $100,000 or $300,000 worth of equipment to the troops. When
I didn't know that. Is that really the case?
Yes. So they gave Arnold the Humvee, the military one,
right?
Gargantuan, and the state of California gave him some type of pass where he could drive it because it was too big for them.
Oh, right. Because of
I remember walking up. What's the name of the street Golds is on?
Hampton.
I was walking out of my office up Hampton, and I saw like a military vehicle. So I thought, like, what's going on? And as it got closer, I was staring at it, and Arnold had a giant cigar, and he like was waving to people who were like, staring at him, and he was beaming, driving it down the street, smiling because obviously he loved it. Maybe not as much as Blackman loved his, but.
Hold on, I got a picture of Arnold in his Humvee. Here we go. I think Eugene's looks very similar to his.
It's much bigger. Well, like Bleckman's Humvee, Arnold's was huge, right? The originals were really big.
Yeah.
But those were modified to be able to be on, legally on the street. Arnold's was like straight out of the.
Yeah. Blackman was so short, and the Humvee, inside the Humvee, first of all, it's so wide, the thing, that when Blackman's sitting in one side driving and I'm in the passenger seat, we're like at least 3 or 4 feet apart from each other. I couldn't even reach him, like if I put my arm out. That's how far apart he is.
Used to take the MD issues that were 500 pages at that time and put them on the seat so see over the dash.
No, so there was like this middle, I guess where the drive shaft was, there was this middle thing that was separating us that was so high I almost couldn't see him over the thing. And he had all the newspapers on that thing, like all the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, New York Post. He'd have every newspaper from that morning there and he'd be underlining stuff, and he had everything marked up in those articles. Every morning he would do that, and he liked it because it was like his desk almost, like Joe Weider was in like $100,000 office with a desk that was probably cost $50,000, and Blackman was in his Humvee with the with the windshield wipers going like this, you know.
The console between you two was a size.
Yeah, that was his desk. Yeah, that was his desk.
And imagine, anyways, the magazine used to be 500 pages.
Yeah. So yeah, that's we lost a good one with Eugene. We'll talk. I'm sure we'll talk more about him on Heavy Muscle. On the After Hour show on Tuesday. I have a lot. He was on the show so much. I have so many clips of him from that show. With funny stuff and stories he would tell about how he had something in his throat. He had like some kind of abscess in his throat. I don't even know how he got it. I think he had tonsillitis, Chris, and he refused to go to the doctor. So he went into his kitchen and he heated up a steak knife.
Oh,
and he stuck it down his throat to lance the thing. But it was so hot, it was like cutting through butter. And I guess he got it, and the pain or whatever was so much that he lost he was losing consciousness, and he had to get air, so he went outside in Russia. This was in Russia, and it was snowing out, because it was freezing there. And he passed out in the snow, and he woke up. He didn't even know how long he was out for, and there was blood. The snow was red all around. It looked like there was a murder scene. He said. I said, "So what happened? Did you go to the hospital?" He goes, "No." He goes, "I was fine." He goes, "I lanced the thing, and it healed up, and it was."
Well, that's why he could do.
I said, "You gave yourself a tonsillectomy." I said. He goes,
"That's why the no carbs for 30 days and the 4 hours of carbs." Crazy.
I was reading that if you fast for 12 hours, your digestive system, like the lining of your digestive system, I guess because of the length of time that there's no food in there, will start to like regenerate itself essentially. But it won't do this unless there's a certain amount of hours you have to like not eat anything for, basically. So by giving the intestinal tract rest, it could actually regenerate itself, and the bacterial colonies that are normally there. Like a lot of times what happens is sections of the colon get decimated and there's no bacteria there. And these colonies are just like all randomly dispersed. So there's openings, and that's called leaky gut, wherever the bacteria is not, it allows, foreign bodies and toxins to get through into your bloodstream. So when you don't eat, the lining of the colon starts turning over. And then what happens is the bacterial colonies, because they have no food, they disperse and they spread themselves out evenly over the whole colon. And it's like they realign themselves. Like they realize there's no food source. We better start, realign, moving around a little bit, And so for people who have like really bad guts, like severe colitis, sometimes it's a good idea to not eat. I know for a bodybuilder, it's almost like the kiss of death not to eat for a whole day. But if you just do like a liquid, water fast or something like that for 24 hours, if your colon is really messed up, supposedly it has some really good regenerative properties to it. So something to consider. Also, obviously, you'd want to take a probiotic, product at that point to try to repopulate the colonic bacteria. I'll tell you, since I've been using my new Protolyze pudding, I sent you it, right?
No, you sent the prototype because I didn't even know you came out with it, Dave.
Oh yeah, well we came out the new Protolyze instant pudding, which people love, has 7 strains of shelf-stable bacteria in it. So you can actually, it doesn't have to be refrigerated. And so it's stable at room temperature. And so when you're doing the pudding, especially, it's good. A lot of people like to have it at night, because it's like a treat. It's 30 grams of protein. There's like almost no carbs, no fat, and per serving. And they'll eat it at night, and as a treat. But then they're also putting those good bacteria back into their colon. And a lot of people have told me, not only does it taste delicious, but I feel like my gut lining is much more regulated. I'm not as irritated. I don't have as much gas. And so I said, well, it makes sense, So
is the quality as good as Mark Loblinger's?
I'll send you some. I'm sure your son will probably steal it mostly from you. You'll probably get 1 serving if you're lucky out of it. But what's going on with your son? Is he ready, gearing up for November?
He's getting ready. And Jay, I posted on my Instagram. Jay sent me some of the meals from the meal company that he endorsed.
I saw that. Now, what does Jay own that company, or he works for them?
I think Jay has an equity stake possibly in it, but the meals are, oh my gosh, Dave, here I got 3 meals sent from Jay. I can't remember the name of them.
MegaFit. You actually ate a meal, Chris?
Yes, and I'll tell you this, and this is not because we got them for free.
Right.
Thank you, Jay, and I want to thank the company too. But when I was in Texas, I went to the gym and I bought a bunch of frozen. I said, you know what, I'm not going to be able to eat when I'm here much, so I bought a bunch of frozen like bodybuilding meals.
Mm-hmm.
The labels looked incredible. I don't know the company's name. And I brought them back to the hotel room and I popped them in the microwave and I sat down to eat the first one and I thought, this tastes terrible.
Oh, really? They were bad?
Salt on it and pepper on it and hot sauce, and I still thought it tasted terrible. And I said, gosh, how could bodybuilders eat this?
Mm-hmm.
But those meals, I'm dead serious, Dave, they taste like somebody cooked them and just freshly put a little piece of plastic over it and handed it to you.
Maybe Jay's cooking them himself.
Well, Jay, the funny thing, the owner told me Jay likes to, he says, you can microwave them. I think you can heat them up in the oven. He said, Jay likes to saute them in a pan. I said, oh, that's just a Jayism. Like, cause
yeah. Just to make it look,
he still wants to cook it a little bit. He just doesn't want to measure everything.
You want to know something really funny? I'll tell you something funny, because that's funny that he said that, because I do the same thing. Because Carlo Filipponi sends me he's got the company, the Chicken Pound.
Yeah.
And he sends me, all these, I'll pull that up. Let's give him a little plug too, because he's a great guy. We love him. And the Chicken Pound is basically chicken by the pound. And he'll send me these bags. So the bags have they're like 2 double bags, half a pound in each side. And they're cooked. You can basically put them in the microwave, Chris, and just eat it directly. I mean, that's how easy it is. 1.5 minutes, and it's defrosted, and you don't have to, there's no cooking involved because it's already cooked. And it's seasoned and everything. And I do the same thing Jay does. I throw it in a pan like I'm some master chef. Meanwhile, it's already cooked. It's already got seasoning in it. It even has the seasoning in the packet. You can pour it right into and I'm just basically what I'm doing is I'm heating it up in the pan, but I'm acting like I'm actually cooking it. And I'll throw some broccoli or some vegetables into the pan just to make it look like I'm doing something. But the truth is I don't need to do anything because it's already cooked. And his thing is it's only chicken. So whereas your thing is meals, the one that Jay said, this is only chicken. But I don't need it. I can make rice in the microwave. I don't need the carbs, to be made for me. So for me, the protein's the biggest pain in the neck. So this is super easy. Not only is these packets really good, he also has these chicken meat. I got to get him to send you some.
Dave, I just realized that my son didn't pay me for Nationals prep.
Uh-oh. He's going to have to hire George Farah for this next show.
George posted. I posted a picture of my son, and George said something very funny. He's like, "You got my number, brother."
Oh my god! Yeah. At least we know that was a joke, but not really. It was kind of a joke. Those are the chicken meatballs that Carla makes. They're delicious too. I got to tell you. So, matter of fact, I think now that I'm looking at them, when I get home from doing the show, I'm going to eat some. I'm going to make myself some of those chicken meatballs.
Very few people, Dave. Few people. It's funny that Jay eats the. It's not funny. I mean, Jay eats the prepared meals too, that he endorses, and Jay, he wouldn't endorse anything that he wouldn't eat himself.
Right.
But I told the owner of the company, I said, listen, people who got to hang around Jay when he was like 19, 20, 21, 22,
Right.
eat. I said he would prepare all the meals himself. He would do 8 meals, no shakes,
Right.
He would 6 a.m. he'd get up and I've told this story before, crack the 12 egg whites and a couple of yolks and scramble them up.
Well, it's like he's like Eduardo Correa. He's got to get up and cook his own food.
But with Jay, with 8 meals, right? I mean, he would be he'd add chopped up onions and chopped up red peppers and and 3 pieces of toast and a couple of, and then once he'd sit down and make it look nice and eat it, and then he'd get up and start cleaning everything by hand and put it away, and then 1 hour later it would start to think about prepping the next meal.
Yeah, I know. That's the great thing about eating every 2 hours, right? It's like you're always starving, but you're always eating at the same time. So it's like, that's why I never understood why people cheated on the diet. I'm like, you got 6 meals a day to eat. It's not like you're ever going more than 2.5 hours without eating. You can't make it till the next meal. Well, I said, you have to cheat in the middle. I said, how much food do you need?
That's what Jose would say that too. He'd say, you get to eat 5 or 6 times a day. I mean, how can you be starving? I mean, I understand you're hungry, but you only have to wait 3 hours and you get to eat
And people are complaining they're getting flat, right? Because they eat 6 meals a day and they're flat. I'm like, you're not losing any muscle. You're eating 300 grams of protein a day.
One of Bob Gruskin's just symbolisms was, you're eating too much. You're eating too much.
That's what Doug
would be like, what do you mean? And he'd say, you're getting fat. You're not gaining muscle. Eating too much. And they said, what should I cut back? You know what it'd say? Everything. Wow. What should I cut out, Bob? He'd say, everything. You're eating.
But Bob is funny because I know he used to do this with Doug all the time. He'd be like, stop eating so much. And then all of a sudden one day he calls you up and he's like, go eat 2 pieces of pizza.
Yeah.
You'll be like, what do you mean? You've been telling me I'm eating too much.
Yeah, you wouldn't know if you're coming and going.
Yeah. It's controlled fury. You have to know when to put the food in and when to take it out. When I am helping, these guys or girls and they just, sometimes they just stop losing weight. And it's almost like you can't take any more food away from them. So you got to do the opposite. You got to feed them, sometimes. And that kicks their metabolism into gear. So sometimes you got to do the opposite. Speaking of doing the opposite, what's going on with Akeem Williams? I see you put up a picture of him. He looks really good.
Yeah, he gets posted in New Jersey. He's like everyone else, 2 months out. And I think I think for 2 months out, he looks great.
Phenomenal.
I think he looks, it's funny. People said at the show when he guest posed, friends of his said, wow, you look like you're 6 weeks out. And I just told someone, I said, he looks like he's about 6 weeks out, which is only 2 weeks ahead, but it's be a little bit ahead rather than.
Yeah, the Olympia is really early this year. I was, I obviously have my hotel booked. I haven't booked the flight yet. I probably should, but I didn't. It's coming up soon. It's in another month and a half.
And can you get me tickets to see Chris Angel and backstage passes?
Well, I thought we were going to go together. No.
Here's the deal.
What?
I'm going very early, the earliest I've ever gone to an Olympia. And I am staying on one side of me is Andrew Jack, and on the left side of me will be Ramon. And I have Andrew Jack Jr., also known as my son, coming in, I think from school on Wednesday or Tuesday. But I wanted to bring my oldest son before the mayhem started, when I get out there early, so go even earlier, because I wanted to see the Michael Jackson show.
Oh.
And I wanted to see the Chris Angel show because he was a big fan of Chris Angel growing up. And I said, we're 1 degree of separation. Dave used to do his diet.
Yeah. Well, Muhammad Amin asked me for tickets. He said he would pay me when I saw him at the Olympia. So I kind of gave him tickets first. I'm hoping I'm going to get paid by him. Do you know anyone who knows him?
No, but I can tell you this. If you don't know Dave, the auditorium, I spoke to Dan Solomon.
Yeah.
Sold out.
Yeah, I know, which is great for the Olympia people. That's great. I wonder if they'll be able to sneak a few more chairs in there, maybe get some more tickets. I know a lot of people are dying for the VIP tickets, and they sold out super fast.
Yeah,
super
so
fast.
they're sold out, and
What hotel are you staying at? Where are you staying?
I'm staying at a top secret hotel known as the Platinum. Sold out.
You're back at the Platinum. Okay.
Yeah. I'm staying there because the lighting is perfect for me to be able to see what it look like. That's just why I'm staying.
Those apartments. I mean, those suites there are huge. I remember.
My sister Nino found that hotel right when it was built.
Yeah.
And the rooms are remarkably cheap.
Sheila Bleck knew about that hotel too. I don't know how she knew about it, but she told me that even before you were there too. She was always there, so that's where I heard about it originally. Then you told me you were there, and then we stayed there a couple times, and we actually did some really good RX Muscle coverage from that hotel. That we stayed in that. There was one giant suite they had. It was like I think
there was like a 4-bedroom or something.
It was like, yes, it was 4 bedrooms. That's exactly what a big common area. It was.
That's when my friend left. Like we came back to the room and he said, "You find a grocery bag here?"
That's right. Your friend left like cash, right, in the room.
$1 cash in the in Dave's room.
I forgot about that. Oh my God!
I said we got down the hall and in the elevator, went down the elevator, and he said to someone like his bodyguard,
"Yeah,
where's the bag?" And I didn't know what they were talking about. There was like panic. The bag. They said the little brown bag. It was like in like a Joe's bag.
How much money was in there, Chris?
$50,000.
What the hell were they doing with $50,000?
I don't know if they were going to gamble. I don't know if they were cash their country.
Right.
But I called you and I said, Dave, is there a bag? Because there was a million people in Dave's room. There was 4 bedrooms. It was like
everyone was staying there. Yeah, there was like 20 people in that room. Yeah.
We were banned. Who banned us from the Olympia? That's why we couldn't even go.
Oh, that's when Robin Chang wouldn't give us the press passes or some shit like that. So we did our live play-by-play from the room. Right? Yeah. And we went to the expo.
We weren't even there.
No, we didn't go to the show. They wouldn't let us. And I refused to buy tickets because I'm like, I'm not going to do.
Yeah, I didn't buy a ticket, even though I had people in the show, and
we watched it on the big screen TV in the hotel room. Yeah,
didn't go.
But we had the best seat in the house.
Dan Solomon, that Dan, the writing is on the wall. Don't forget, it was Vince McMahon who had WrestleMania, and he had it at the Silverdome, and if you watch the documentary on that, so he had it at the Silverdome, and people said nobody is going to watch a wrestling match
from the
80,000 or whatever is 100,000 people to be able to quote see it. So the idea of he just pushed the envelope, Vince McMahon, in terms of attendance.
Right.
It's like an apartment. That's the way it is. If there are no apartments, you increase the price. If there's no if it's sold out that fast, you of course either increase the price or you open up some more supply.
Right.
So
good.
I mean, the speed at which they sold out is unbelievable.
Because look, I've been to WrestleMania. I've been to WrestleMania, and I've been to one where there was like 100,000 people there in Dallas, or I forget what part of Texas. I think it might have been Houston. And I've also been to the Olympia, obviously, many times. And I'm going to tell you this. Even if you can't get a VIP ticket, okay, even if you have the worst seat in the house, it's worth going because the energy in that place. First of all, most people who go to the Olympia and go to WrestleMania watch the show from the big screen up ahead because you have a better view from the screen unless you're right in the front row, okay? And that goes for the wrestling and it goes for the Olympia. So the question is, why would people go to watch it on a screen because it's the energy of the place. It's being there with the wrestlers, it's being there with the bodybuilders, it's being able to interact with them. It's the energy of the place, the fans, the camaraderie, you're there with hundreds of thousands of people who have the same interest as you. And it's a great experience. And if you've never gone to the Olympia or the Arnold, I highly recommend you do it because you'll have a great time no matter what your seats are. It doesn't even matter.
It's always exciting when there's, because they do start the Olympia prejudging right at with the exception of a couple of years ago.
Exception of last year,
But they generally do start the Olympia prejudging right when they're going to start it. It's not like, let's say it's start at noon. It's not like, we got a delay at 12:45. Right. So noon is noon, and when they make the announcement, it's a lot of excitement when they say competitor number 1 from where so and so, and they announce the guy. The guy, audience, that's what they go nuts. It's a big show. It is the biggest, but it's you're watching it on live stream, you can't get the feel like you said.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 1,000%. The energy, the camaraderie, the excitement of the show, the unknowns of the show. Who's look like they did 3 weeks ago at when I saw pictures of so and so on Instagram. Is he going to look like that?
Right. Was Jay Cutler competitor number 1 at one of those shows?
I don't know.
I feel like was it in 03? Did he come out first in 03? Because everyone was saying, holy mackerel, he's going to win the Olympia. And then Ronnie came out last. And
99, the irony is 99 where he was, I'll tell you, second to last. Whatever number he came out, the audience went like ballistic. And he ended up second to last.
Yeah. But I can't explain it to you guys. You have to just go there. And it doesn't matter where like I said, if you're not going to get one of the best seats in the house, then just buy any ticket. It doesn't even matter. Buy the cheapie seats because it doesn't matter. You'll sit there, you'll watch the screen. I have a great time sometimes when we sit in the press area, but sometimes I'll move back and I'll just go sit in a random seat that's open just because I want to sit with the fans because they go crazy and they love, they want they want to ask me my opinion. And it's almost more fun to sit with the fans than it is to sit with the press.
Well, Dave, one of the more exciting parts of the entire show is immediately after judging if it's close, and it's always close.
Yeah.
Pretty much, it's been there's
been
a
couple of Ronnie years weren't close. Yeah.
And there's been a couple of years where regardless when it's close, and it's usually like last year 1 point, and the year before. With the it was close and 2023 2022 was 22 where was Ramy 5th where that was a storyline and Samson moving up. Everyone's scuttlebutt who wants to review the show is really exciting right after where you run into 1,000 people and they'll say from fans but of course to experts Cormier or Flex Wheeler, what do you think? What do you think? And it's everyone's trying to handicap and digest the show, what went on.
Right. Yeah, because they want your opinion because they're like the people at the show know who the experts are and who, and if we're sitting right in the front there, everyone wants to say, well, what do you think? And most of the time we all are in agreement. The funny thing though, Chris, about that is that when we get to the point where, all right, we're doing the wrap up, all the people who had the strongest opinions of all disappear. Everyone's afraid to get on camera because they're afraid they get insult like one of their friends or someone's not going to like their opinion. Well, very few people.
That's why it's best
are willing to put their opinion on camera.
That's why it's best, to do the wrap up immediately because you get to give guttural, view of what you just saw as opposed to time to
digest it. Yeah.
In niceties and in I don't want to say politics, but not offending people.
I understand, if you're coaching some of the top guys, you're probably the only exception. A lot of these guys like Hani, they're afraid to say anything after this because they don't want to jinx anything or upset anyone, which I can understand. You don't care. You go right on the record and say exactly what you feel.
Yeah, you want to say what what your true feelings are.
Yeah.
How you saw the show. And just because they're your true feelings don't mean they are right because as when it's a close show, sometimes it comes down to one pose.
Right.
You can break.
Give me the top top five analysts who can't wait to get into the wrap up at the Olympia with us. Top 5 guys. Let's see if you can name them.
Of course, Milos, but
Milos, number 1. Yeah.
Chad is always good to have up there.
Yeah, Chad at the Olympia usually likes to get involved. Yeah.
Yeah, and he always gives. I always think he gives a very good analysis of what
he has his own. Yeah, he definitely has his own analysis for sure.
I mean, Cormier is always important, I think, to pull in.
Cormier likes to get in there. That's right. Number 3. Who's 4?
He might not be on your list, but Sergio's definitely.
If he's around, he likes to give his opinion. You're right. I'll give you him.
Samir is the honorary Mr. Olympia.
So that's what I was thinking, Samir.
We have to go back, Dave, if you remember last year.
Samir and Milos almost went at each other's throats.
Milos and Samir. Dave likes to bring Milos and Samir in together because it's controversial.
That's right.
They don't always pull him in, but John Hansen is,
Hansen's always, he's there.
Analytical, and I think one of the best eyes. I think Sid brings both excitement to a contest review of that stature.
Yeah,
Sid Perucci, but also he knows all the backstories and
he knows the gossip. Yeah, the gossip is going on.
He knows the questions to ask.
and you know who was really good, who's no longer really does it anymore, but Lonnie Teeper was always good in the past when we used to grab him.
If we could ever get usually I'd always want to pull in like Jose, but
yeah, we were always arguing with Lonnie. You remember? Like he would.
Yeah.
If someone didn't have calves, Lonnie didn't want to fucking vote for them at all.
Yeah. It's good to bring it's good to bring in a variety of opinions.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when people don't have a strong opinion and they hear my opinion, they may disagree with it, or they hear, Cormier's opinion, they may agree with that. They can formulate better their opinion of the show because the show is exciting and it goes relatively quick. I mean, there's the first call out and then they compare, and then the show is mostly over. It's already determined, okay, who's who more or less, and then they narrow it down, and then that last call out, you unless you've been around the sport a long time, sometimes it's easy to get lost in where the winner is and why that person is the winner compared to second.
Oh, there it is. There's Samir and Milos. No volume on that, Sid?
Why didn't Hadi win? Tell me.
They're gonna say that he beat him on the back double biceps.
Wait.
Side glutes. For the love of God, side glutes contest.
It's not
Happened before. No.
And
why Samson didn't win?
From your perspective, they still want him a little bit more conditioned, and they still want a little bit more back. Okay.
Samir's pointing the face.
Most muscular pose on the winner. Hold on a second. Side chest, side triceps. Is this the poses that Garrett could actually win?
Look, Samson is a good poser. He's got a beautiful physique. He's got a Mr. Olympia physique. Yeah. No doubt about it. But with a little bit more quality, believe me, this guy can take it. You're saying they're holding Samson to a higher standard because they can know he can be better. Is that what you're saying? I really think he could win the whole thing. I think he's capable. What do you think? When my assessment is that what I'm hearing here is that everyone was a little off in some capacity, and it was very hard for the judges to in their mind, put together who had the best overall look in their mind that would warrant being Mr. Olympia. Can I change the topic a little bit?
Look at the hand.
Why Bumstead is winning every year? You tell me.
It's the best structure for a classic physique.
Isn't it the quality that he brings to the stage?
Many guys in the classic physique, they have that quality. What are you talking about? It's a structure that wins for the physique.
Let me tell you something. Ramon has an incredible body, full of muscle belly. He flows better. But Bump, he's winning base because he had great quality, he had great muscle control. And you know what? That's the edge. That's his edge. I think it's his structure. I think he's just structurally better. I do too. Yeah.
That's right. Milos and Mr. Olympia, Samir Bannout going at it right there at the Olympia.
or what was the movie review people day back in the day?
Siskel and Ebert, yeah.
Yeah, where they would fight over the movie.
Right.
You could do
See,
it like.
That's what's so great about that wrap up, and we had Sergio in that one. We had Jimmy Mentis in that one too. So we had a good crew. I think this year we're going to have like a superstar, wrap up. We might. It might be the wrap up of wrap ups, because it seems like everyone's going to this year because it's the 60th year anniversary of the Mr. Olympia, which means I have to get Dan Solomon on the show at some point, and we got to find out what they're doing. They got to be doing something special for the 60th anniversary.
Special, but Dave, the reason everyone's going is people prefer to go, I think, to Vegas as opposed to Orlando.
I don't know. I think people will go to the Olympia no matter what. But yeah, I mean, there's more to do in Vegas for sure, especially now with all the new shit they built there with that sphere and all the other stuff they got.
Vegas for the Olympia. The Olympia is made for Vegas, and Vegas is made for the Olympia because the MMA big fights are in Vegas.
Yeah.
The matches are in Vegas. The big shows are in Vegas. Whereas Orlando's like a family event. You know what I mean? It's a family town because of Disney.
Right.
And just there's this idea of pomp and circumstance when you get to Vegas as opposed to having it somewhere else. I think the only, you know,
it's just a little harder to get around Vegas than it is Orlando because it's, it's like, but I think what they're doing is where they're holding it now is like all in like a very centralized area. So it's easy to get to all the different venues. And I think that's going to make it a lot nicer. Whereas in the past, remember we had to go to the Orleans and we had to run across town to the expo and then try to get back to the Orleans in time. It's like we never had any time to do anything. We were so busy traveling, and then there was no time to eat at all. So this is going to be a little bit easier, I think.
And Dave, you can plug the meals that Jay sent me a gig.
Well, I got to tell you, your client, is it Marcelo? Which is the client who's cooking me food? His mother.
Well, Fonzie's mom is going to. We're going to do a show.
He texted me the other night. He goes, "It's confirmed." He said,
"Guaranteed confirmed. I will be at that."
I think I'm going to stay with Marcelo and Alfonsi in his room because I think I'll be fed way better if I stay there.
Come in early enough, even though it's sold out. He somehow finagled the room out of the Platinum for like half the time. So,
did he really?
Yes. He had full kitchen so we can eat.
His mother can cook there. Yeah, I'll have to come to your hotel.
You know what? You can review it. We'll have me. I can eat. You can eat. We'll have Samir and Milos.
We'll break bread together. We can
do a live review of the meal.
That's it.
Because
I will certainly film that. Now, getting back to before we wrap this up, the Chris Angel thing. So I was gonna contact him and see if we can go maybe Wednesday night or something like that. So I think I get in Wednesday. But if you need it before that, I can do it. He's just not going to probably bring you backstage without me there. That's the problem.
You know what? Go out early. Go out. So you know what, Dave? I'm going out. If I'm going out that early for the Olympia.
Yeah.
I might as well go out like on October 1st.
Well, you know what? Dominic Matasio invited me to come out early and stay at his house. So maybe I will go early. We'll see.
Well, I'm going to give my oldest son the Vegas experience, which I've never experienced. And part of that is going to see like Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Right.
So we'll go to Jay's house. We'll go to Chris Angel's show.
Yeah. We always say we're going to do a million things and then we do nothing.
Dave, I've been saying since my kids were tiny, I'm going to take them out to Vegas.
Yeah. Is your wife going, or are you just taking the kids?
No, I'm going to take the kids. I'm going to take the 20-year-old, like,
right.
Building craziness starts.
Mm-hmm. What are you going to do with him once this craziness starts?
I'm back.
You're sending him back?
Yes, I'm not going to. Yeah.
He has no interest in watching the show?
I can't handle this show with people around me. I am going to that show to try to win that show.
No, I know you are with Andrew, but I mean, I'm just saying. I know Fareed is going to want to be there with you.
Yeah, well, he's going to be there, and Andrew gave him his room.
Oh, okay.
Wherever the bodybuilders.
What you're basically saying is your kids are on their own for the show.
Don't bother me.
Gotcha. All right. Maybe I'll recruit them to work for me. That's all.
Yeah. Fareed will. He'll hold the camera and do the. Definitely.
I'll put him to work. I'll have him go to Alfonsi's room and bring food back for me.
Maybe I'll have the oldest.
I'll rent him a bicycle so he can bicycle through the streets of Vegas and go pick up food for us and bring it back. I'll pay him in Anadrol.
Pass the test.
No. He's drug free for now. All right, let's wrap this up. Yeah, but we'll talk about the Chris Angel thing. I got to figure out what days he has the show on because it's not every day of the week.
Yeah.
And, so if you have that, are you going to be there the weekend before the show?
I'm going to be there like crazy early, Dave. I'm going crazy early out.
All right, well, you'll let me know the days, and I'll see what days are available for the tickets.
Ramona's pulling a Kai Green and going out like a month out.
Oh, he's staying with, what is he, training at Flex's gym?
I don't know what he's doing. But I know.
What's the gym to go out there? Is it still Flex's gym, Dragon's Lair, or is it, I guess some people go to Hide's gym in Iris's gym, Powerhouse?
Flex Condom to come out.
And then, Mark, what's his name? Mark Anthony has his gym. That's it, right?
Yeah, Mark, yeah.
There's a bunch of good gyms there. Yeah. All right. Well, I want to send, obviously, my prayers and condolences out to Eugene's mother, Lena, and all the fans of Eugene's. It was a very big loss this past weekend, very traumatic, and still digesting it. We'll talk about it more on the After Hour show this coming Tuesday. For now, we are out of time, as we say every week, with Heavy Muscle Radio.
The truth hurts.
We'll see you next week.